Welcome to Cool Life Podcast, brought to you by therealthingdating.com. www.therealthingdating.com.
Polydor Records for out scouting. This girl grabbed my bangs and ran my head right into the speaker.
Oh,
And everyone here like this, yeah.
When we shot the scene in Good Will Hunting, I didn't know who most of these people were at the time. I mean, they weren't stars. It was Gus Van Sant that directed it. Gus Van Sant was on the floor with Matt Damon's character. I didn't even know who Matt Damon was at that time.
I'm Eva John. I'm a former candidate for local government. I was a children's television entertainer, and I love this world, and I believe we should take care of each other and have a lot of fun along the way. Welcome to Cool Life. Here we go. And welcome to Cool Life Podcast. I'm Eva John, and today we're with our guest, Boris Khaimovich, owner, rancher at the Maple Crescent Farm. Boris, welcome to Cool Life.
Thank you. Good to be here.
It's wonderful to have you here, and I'm so excited with our discussion about your lifestyle. I mean, you've certainly gone full circle, where you're a world traveler, you are a performing artist, an actor, club owner, club manager. We have seen you come to this wonderful life, and I'm just wondering, at what point in your life did you decide to go from being 100% a city slicker to 100% of rancher farm owner?
Okay, so I can give you a short answer, or I can give you the honest answer. The short answer, well, there's actually two short answers. One, from when I was managing nightclubs to becoming a farmer or to rancher, my decision was I decided to stop working with animals and decided to work with horses. So that's the short answer. The long answer is ever since I was a little kid growing up in Odessa, Ukraine, which was part of Soviet Union at that time, I always wanted to be a cowboy.
Okay.
That's always been my passion. And I used to go watch Western movies with my cousin, and I always wanted to be with horses.
Wow.
And we came to Canada, lost that kind of, couldn't understand how you become a cowboy, because we lived in Montreal. And then one day, last year of high school, a friend of mine said to me, "You want to go horseback riding?" And I literally kind of went, "Huh? What do you mean go horseback riding?" And he said, "Well, do you want to go horseback riding?" I said, "Okay. How do we do that?" He goes, "Well, we rent a couple of horses, we go on a trail ride." And from that point on, I started riding pretty much every weekend, with the exception of a few spells where life kind of got in the way. And then it was just a natural progression to, I worked for summer on a farm at a dude ranch. I went to Idaho and Arkansas to ride on dude ranches and farms. And after my last trip to Idaho, I came back. I was there for 2 weeks. Lost 15 pounds.
No, sorry, just gloss right over that. How did you just like suddenly lose 15 pounds?
In Idaho in 2 weeks.
Right.
I was living on Cheerios and water.
Oh my God.
And
Okay.
beef jerky and beef jerky.
That was your protein. Okay. That's a balanced diet.
But I've never felt happier, healthier in my life.
Wow.
I came back to Toronto, and my wife, who was my girlfriend at that time, I told her, I said, "I'm going to quit my job." And she said, "And do what?" I said, "I'm going to buy a farm." And she went, "Okay, can I come?" I said, "Sure." And I gave the owner of the club that I was managing at that time a 1-year notice.
Okay. Yeah.
because I was there for 7 years at that point.
Okay.
And to me, symbolism is very important. So I basically gave him notice and I quit him the same day I started.
Oh, wow.
It was kind of like a complete circle.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
That's
then
very fair. I've got to say, I've never heard of somebody giving 1 year notice. I'd say that's more than fair. Wow.
well, I think it was also important for me to kind of wrap my brain around the fact that what I'm actually planning to do.
Right.
And Kendra and I looked for a farm for close to 2 years until we were able to find one that was we felt was the right, A, financially,
Okay.
B, it had all the things that we were looking for.
Okay. And so continuing, so you're at the point at which you've given 1 year's notice, which is so generous. I mean, I don't think I've ever recently heard of anybody giving
No.
1 year's notice. Right?
I had an immense amount of loyalty to the club and to the staff. I built that club. I created all the concepts for the evening events and stuff like that, and I worked very closely with promoters and DJs, and I had a lot of staff that were still there for 8 years,
Right.
because I didn't just look at the TNA aspect of it. I looked at loyalty and honesty. The club was in its third, fourth, and fifth year, or second, third, and fourth year. I don't remember anymore. But for 3 years in a row, the club was the third, sold the third highest volume of beer in Ontario.
Wow.
And the only place that beat us was the Skydo and Maple Leaf Gardens.
Holy macaroni.
Yeah. So we were open 28 days a month.
So now, are we able to mention that club? Was that
Limelight? Yeah, Limelight.
That was Limelight. Wow.
Yeah.
Amazing.
We were open 28 days a month. We were number one vodka seller. We were, I think, number two for rye. And I think 3 or 4 for rum. I mean, yeah, we were doing stupid numbers.
Yeah, wow.
But I worked 80 hours a week.
Oh, of course.
So, and like I said, we were open 28 days of the month.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So, that's a big transition to say, okay, I love horses. I'm buying a ranch. Here I go. Hey, your girlfriend's going with you. Your lives are changing for both of you. To start a new way of living. I mean, obviously you loved horses. Is that how you settled on horses? Because you said you had other animals and then you kind of switched to horses.
No, it was horses. I mean, we had dogs, but
okay.
They're not livestock. They're just
not yet.
No, they're kids with bad table manners. No, it was always horses. It was always about being a cowboy. I never wanted to get into livestock because it just wasn't. I didn't know enough about it. I didn't know enough about horses. When we did actually start the farm, I realized that even though I knew how to ride, well, I actually didn't know how to ride. I thought I knew how to ride, but I didn't know how to ride. I thought I knew horses, but I didn't know horses. I thought I knew what farming would be about, and I had no clue. And everything was a learning curve.
Yes, of course.
So I went from working 28 days a week at a club to working 31 days, 31 days a month, 28 days a month to 31 days a month.
Wow.
So
now, with all the work that you're doing, and do you remember when you started out, what kind of hours you were putting in per day?
On the farm?
Yeah, on your on Maple Crescent Farm when you did that switch.
To be honest with you, I would say probably the first month. We moved June 15th. We moved into our farm, 2003, and I think the first month I hardly did any work.
Mhm.
Where do you start?
Right. So you're there, you've got your farm, and you were just getting acquainted with the farm. Is that what your first
No,
steps
we
were?
thought we were in La La Land. We were having picnics underneath maple trees. You know,
Oh,
yeah, it was just, it was
yeah.
beautiful. And then my neighbor, who's passed away since, came along while we were sitting underneath the maple tree having our picnic and lunch, and he said, "Are you going to need hay?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "Well, it's not going to bale itself. So you need to tell me when you want me to cut it and bale it for you." Oh, I have to take that responsibility? Yeah, it's your hay. Oh, okay. When should I cut it? He goes, well, it should have been cut 2 weeks ago. Okay, well, all right. Well, I guess let's cut it. He goes, well, we can't cut it because the rain is coming. And so you start learning, and it's just, and then
Right.
every year became a little more intense. I would say that probably at some point in the second, third year we were there, I was putting in between um, 12 to 14, 16 hours a day.
Right.
Especially, I mean, basically sunlight dictates the amount of hours you work.
Oh,
As
right.
long as the sun is out, you're working.
Right. Yeah.
So, where in the wintertime, I will come in the house by 5:30. In the summer, usually I have my supper around 9:30, 10 o'clock at night.
Mhm.
And even now,
Really, yeah.
yeah.
Now that's definitely like you're working lawyer's hours, kind of.
Yeah, except I don't have lawyers' pay.
No, but it's amazing. Anyone who thinks of this kind of a lifestyle, it's easy to say it would be nice to transition to it and to say, wow, coming in with how much knowledge that you wouldn't realize immediately just how much work needed to be done. And now you're in a family situation. Are all of your family like 100% down with the idea that this is a farm life, or do you have a few city slickers incognito in the family?
Immediate family, like my kids,
Yeah, yeah.
or
Kids, wife,
my
you.
extended family.
Well, oh,
Well, my extended family are completely they think I'm insane. They think I'm absolutely crazy. They love coming up here. They think it's wonderful, but they think I'm crazy. My parents thought I was crazy. My mom, unfortunately, only had a chance to see the farm once before she passed away.
so sorry.
My dad had a chance to be with us for 8 years on the farm. But the kids themselves, my oldest son, who is in the University of Ottawa now, has never liked the farm. I mean, this is a kid that wants to live in a condo in the middle of the big city and take Ubers. That's what he wants to do.
Okay.
My daughter loves the farm, but doesn't really want to work on the farm. She will help, but doesn't really work on the farm or wants to stay here.
Right.
My oldest son loves the farm, loves the freedom that the farm allows him, but again, no interest in kind of continuing. Like this is not I'm under no grand delusion that this will be a family legacy farm.
Okay. Right.
They all want to move on, and
At this point.
at this point, I mean, if anything, it'll be a cottage for them.
Mhm.
But that's it.
But it's if that's what they see it in their future, then fantastic. Yeah, if they decide they want to go a little further with it the way you did, fantastic. I mean, I guess anyone looking at you as a teenager wouldn't have said, yeah, Boris, yeah, he's heading straight to a farm once he's done with school.
Yeah. No, nobody would have thought that.
I wouldn't have
the
thought that, no.
the I think the one thing that one of the reasons why Vlad, the oldest one, really had a disdain towards the farm is because after he was born, we were struggling financially. We were struggling to kind of keep everything afloat, and Kendra was working, and I was working 2 jobs. I was working on the farm, and I was also still working in nightclub security.
Okay.
So there was no toys per se, farm toys for him to kind of enjoy and you know, take advantage of. He was very much landlocked. Right. So unless either Kendra or I drove him or my dad, he was landlocked. Where the other two have come along slightly different time, where, you know, we got an ATV by the time they were teenagers, and side by side, and you know, and by the time the youngest one came along, or even Emma came along, by that point Vlad was already driving, so they had another driver that was available to move them around. And so in a sense, he had the I guess, like every other pioneer, the burden of being the first. But don't tell him I said that. Don't tell him I said that.
Okay. But I think in a way it's really beautiful. I mean, that's a dynamic of a family. You're just going to be in stages, different stages of your life. You know, the early stages with my parents, you know, I got to enjoy their hippie stage, and got an awful lot of you know, hanging beads and Beatles music, and so that was beautiful. You know, later on, my father in the 3-piece pinstripe suit, that's a different stage. It's just one of the things that are going to happen. Just really cool that those stages can happen, you know, on a farm.
Yeah, it's cool, but at the same time, it's kind of sad for him, because he didn't get a chance to enjoy the farm in all its glory. He was limited to basically, excuse my language, a bit of a show, right? We were building everything and working crazy hours and driving back and forth, and so, I mean, I would work all day on the farm, come home, take an hour nap, take a shower, drive him to a hockey game so he could play hockey, bring him back, turn around, put on a suit, and go to work in downtown Toronto. So, you know, there was no kind of bonding, you know, let's go do this together. No, it was just a lot of
although that is your bonding, right? Like, doing those drives together, and you know what you have there, some parents don't have, right? Even that drive for the carless parent, or for the parent who's saying, no hockey, you kidding me? No, go play out the back. You know, sometimes that's where the show gets shut down, and you know, everything is relative. I hear every scrap of this, and it warms my heart to think of your dedication, what it takes to come home, take an hour nap, you know, throw the kids into the car, go play hockey, come back, dump them out of the car, put on a suit, and like face a whole other work schedule.
Yes.
Like, you're a hero.
And come home at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, sleep for 2 hours, and you know, start all over again.
Yeah.
Start the cycle. I mean, I've actually had days where I've slept coming back from nightclubs. I would fall asleep. I'd start falling asleep on the highway. I would pull over at a truck stop and sleep for 3 or 4 hours in the middle of winter with the car running.
Right.
Pull into the house at 8 o'clock in the morning, and go in, brush my teeth, wash my face, put on a pair of jeans and boots, and jump on the horse, because we had a trail ride coming out at 9.
Wow.
So yeah, and you did that, but you just kept, but you never thought about, oh, God, again, no, you just do it because you have to.
Right.
It's not a choice.
Yeah, that's amazing dedication, and you know, juggling all of that and being an amazing dad too.
You know what? I didn't look at it that way. I'm sorry. It's not a choice. You took on the responsibility of having children. You took on the responsibility of being married. You took on the responsibility of having a farm. You took on the responsibility of having horses on the farm. You took on the responsibility of doing, you know, a part-time job in the city. it's not a choice. You made that choice, so go do it.
Yeah. Wow. That's good. Take note, people.
Yes, take note. Yeah,
Take
please do.
note. You got the commitment, go do it. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
You can quote Boris.
Yeah.
Now, this the whole world kind of went through a lot, obviously, with the pandemic. So many things were like turned upside down on their heads. What was it like for you at Maple Crescent Farms when you have a pre-pandemic business and a post-pandemic? What was that like?
I wish I could tell you that the pandemic hurt us. It didn't. What hurt the pandemic affected us on the pricing that we pay for everything. But horses didn't care about the pandemic, and we shut down for literally 2 days when Ontario went into lockdown.
Right.
And I had a conversation, and I'm not a conspiracy theorist, and I thought the whole pandemic insanity was BS. That's a personal note. My wife is a nurse. She made me have 3 shots. I have a trifecta of all the shots. I have all 3 of them: Pfizer, AstraZeneca, and I don't know what the other one was anymore. But anyway, I have all 3 of them. We shut down for 2 days. And I told Kendra, I can't do this because horses are creatures of habit. A lot of people who own horses, that's their saving grace. That's their focus in their life. It is more than just a passion of a hobby. It is an enrichment. We do our stuff outside in the fresh air.
True. Yeah.
So Kendra and I kind of came to a compromise. She said, fine, you can let people back on the farm. I'm going to put clipboards out and people need to sign in when they're here. We're going to ask people not to tack up their horses in the barn, which is enclosed, but to tack out outside.
Right.
We're going to ask people not to, it's, an 8,000 square foot arena. So we're going to ask them to no more than 4 riders in the arena at a time. We're going to ask them to, when they do tack out,
and that's generous. That is like much more than other requirements eventually came out. So that's amazing.
Well, but because from a personal standpoint, it didn't make sense to me. The whole insanity of lockdown didn't make sense to me. The fact that they shut down the Ganaraska forest. I mean, you have an 11,000 acre forest and they shut it down because of COVID. Because why? You and I are going to lick the same tree? But that's the insanity, right? So to me, it became very, very personal.
Right.
Yeah. And when I see people who are my clients, who love their horses and their horses respond to their voices.
Right.
Really? I'm gonna punish the horse and the owner because why?
Right.
Because they can't be outside. I mean, if you've seen this average size of a horse, we're far more than 6 feet apart when we're riding. So right. Yeah, and we're outside. Yeah. And some people chose to wear masks and there was a mask in my pocket and I wore it only when I absolutely had to.
Right. It's a completely different situation. And I think that strangely, with the pandemic, it did have a lot of restrictions for people who were severely affected. I know people personally who were affected multiple times, and but they weren't in a situation where they were on a horse ranch. And there are some people who decided to live their lives like up at their cottages. If they were working from home, it didn't matter where they were, somewhere where they could have more of an outdoor atmosphere. And it's amazing that before, during, and after, your office was an outdoor atmosphere, which is really, really beautiful.
That happened. I think must have affected far more cities and
Yeah.
towns than farming community. I said that to somebody. I said, my hands are usually covered in grease, my boots are covered in horse manure, and I'm breathing fresh air 24/7. If COVID wants me that bad, come and get me.
There was so much that we didn't know, but there's so much about the pandemic after the fact that made a lot of people want to live in a situation like yours, including me. We're going to take a break and we're going to be back after we talk about our sponsors and supporters and more discussions on ranch lifestyle with Boris Khaimovich on Cool Life Podcast. You're listening to the Cool Life Podcast. We'll be back in 3, 2, 1.
And we're back.
Absolutely right. We are back here at Cool Life Podcast. I'm Eva John with Boris Khaimovich. We're talking about Maple Crescent Farm and the amazing life that you've been able to live with your family. And now you've told me that you've gone from being a horse ranch and you've transitioned to not having public riding anymore. So what has sparked that change?
Okay, so short answer is I hate people.
Oh, no.
The long answer is when we first started doing trail rides, myself and my best friend were doing all the rides as the guides.
Right.
And we put on a show for people. We entertained them. We gave them stories, sang them songs, created fictional characters that they came back believing. As both Ali and I got older and started doing other things, we spent less and less time in the saddle, and therefore you hire people to do it.
Right. Yeah.
So the young people that worked for me rode well. They rode the horse well. They were, attentive to the customer, and it was a good experience, except it wasn't a wow experience. People didn't leave talking about these two crazy old cowboys who would chase, a black bear or cougar or rodeo. It didn't make a difference if it was real or not. It was a story that people came back with. It was created an impression in their mind.
Right.
These young people gave them a good ride.
Okay.
So it became, we went down from being open 7 days a week to being open, I think we went to 5 days a week. We're closed Mondays and Tuesdays, to being only done on the weekends. And I finally said, you know what, I'm done. And if at any point there was any question about whether or not I was right in making the decision, it was October 31st. Halloween was, we were shutting down for October 31st anyway. And that day we had 16 riders booked for a 2-hour trail. So there was 3 different trails, 2 hours each. It was going to be a full day, busy day, Halloween ride. It rained the entire day. We canceled every single one of the rides. Okay. And I thought to myself, if that's not a sign from God saying you're doing the right thing, that was it. Okay. So that's when we decided that was done.
Well, did you ever do, or do you ever do special events like weddings or retirement parties and engagement parties, things like that?
Yes, we've done a couple of weddings. We had 6 or 7 proposals that was done on the trail rides.
Oh.
Luckily, all the women said yes.
Good.
Because otherwise it would have been a very, very slow, quiet ride back. Right. We've done some special events on the farm, but not really. That's not what we specialize in.
It's nice that you can have a beautiful atmosphere for those kinds of special events. And, it's a big transition, having the kind of life on a farm a lot of people dream of. In your case, you've had different kinds of careers that people dream of. You were a professional actor on major productions. You've
I was a minor actor on major productions. How was that?
you certainly carved out your own place in acting. War of the Worlds, the TV series, My Secret Identity. You've been in things that a lot of actors wish they could have been a part of those productions. You have a very different life now. Do you ever miss acting?
The funny thing is that because for about 3 or 4 years, I actually was able to marry the two, both my love of horses and acting. Up the road from us is a professional theater company, a summer stock company called Fourth Line Theater, and they would actually hire us and our horses for their productions because their productions are held outdoors. So there is a couple of plays that we've done with them where we would have to, run in with spears and swords, screaming and hollering. And I had the opportunity to, even though I'm 6'2" and he was 5'7", play Oliver Cromwell on my white horse.
Oh,
So I had a chance to do stuff like that. Do I miss it? Maybe from nostalgia standpoint. I don't miss the struggles. I don't miss the financial insecurity. I don't miss the reliance on one person's opinion, whether or not I succeed or fail. I don't miss going to auditions, knocking on doors, pretending to like people that I actually despise. Long and short of it, no, I don't miss it.
point taken. Although, definitely the talent that you enjoyed, you were able to translate that into what you're doing as owner of a horse ranch. And you've also worked in hospitality, managing major nightclubs, including Go-Go and Limelight.
Copa, District, a number of system soundbar consultations. I've done my rounds. I did it for 25 years. Assistant head of security for the Palladium in New York City. Yeah.
Wow. That's a substantial background and experience that some people never get to see. Have you been able to transfer some of those skills into what you've done as the owner of a ranch?
Yes. So just take a step back. The theater aspect helped me on the ranch because you're meeting so many different people. So it gave me the ability to communicate, to convey points across and stuff like that. The nightclub, the security and the managing nightclub, situational awareness, being aware as to where you are and things going on around you. Because when you're dealing with 60 horses on the farm and you're in the middle of a paddock and they're kind of gathering around you because you're bringing them hay, you have to be aware as to where everybody is, and you have to almost have eyes in the back of your head. So situational awareness, intuition. That's trusting your gut. That all kind of came from the nightclubs.
It's amazing.
And managing a business itself.
Right, of course. Now, the business currently, you don't have the public presence that you used to. The public presence is more from boarding horses.
Yes.
Right? And so do you think, is it going to remain that way as far as your interaction with horses on your ranch at this time?
Yeah, I don't see us going. I mean, I don't know anything what's going to happen potentially down the road, but for a couple of years, we had a lesson program. I decided that I didn't like little snot-nosed kids. Even though I wasn't teaching them, I just didn't like them in my barn giving me dirty looks because I walked around in dirty ripped jeans because I just finished baling hay, and they were in their, cute shiny boots and breeches, and so anyway,
Shiny boots. Okay.
yeah, shiny boots. We did a little bit of horse training for other people. Yeah, but you kind of, what I really enjoy. I enjoy boarding horses. I love horses, still do. I really enjoy farming aspect of what I do now. I enjoy sitting on the tractor with me and the machine, and it's very exact. It either works or it doesn't work. And if it doesn't work, you got to fix it. So there's no, you're not a little bit pregnant. You either are pregnant or you're not. Yeah, so no, I don't see myself. I mean, if anything, if as maybe time goes on and I get older and more tired, we might stop boarding fewer and fewer horses, and I'll focus more on farming, because unfortunately horses and any kind of livestock for that matter stops you from taking vacations or going anywhere, because you got to bring somebody on and tell them where everything is and how everything works, and when you've been here for 20 years, I kind of know which way everything is blowing, and go and explain it to somebody that, well, this is what you do if this happens. Right, so it's a little harder. So yeah, we take vacations at very select times of year, because you can't leave in the middle of winter, and you can't live in the middle of summer, and you can't leave early fall or late fall or late spring or early spring. So there's about 3.5 weeks a year where we can actually go and do something.
Oh, my goodness. Well, that's a commitment, and it's a lifestyle. It does seem like a beautiful trade-off for, being surrounded by beauty and away from that pulsing rhythm of the big city. And
Yes.
with that, we'll take another break, and we'll talk about our sponsors, and we'll be back on Cool Life Podcast. This is Cool Life Podcast. Please remember to subscribe to Cool Life on your streaming service and on YouTube as Hellenique Today. That's HELENIQUE Today, because that helps us to bring more cool stuff to your ears. You're listening to the Cool Life Podcast. We'll be right back. And we are back at Cool Life Podcast.
And we're back.
And we're continuing our conversation with Boris Khaimovich, the owner, rancher at Maple Crescent Farm. Now, Boris, as someone who has...
You forgot to say an all-around nice guy.
Oh, I can't forget to say that. All-around nice guy, super nice guy, a great family man, great dad, father of great kids, husband of a great wife.
Yes.
And one of the best assets to this country.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Period. For somebody who would want to follow in your footsteps and do the same thing, leave city life behind, what would you recommend as a way for someone to prepare to move into this type of lifestyle the way you did?
Do a lot more research than I did. Know your limitations and be willing to accept failure. Talk to the people around, because your neighbors are your best source of information,
Right.
help, support. They'll be the first ones to bring you the bucket of water when your house is on fire, because they're right there. Don't be afraid to try things, but also accept the fact that you're going to learn, that you're going to fail far more than you succeed, but you also learn more from your failure than your successes.
So through your transition to become a working farmer, rancher, do you feel that there were failures you encountered that you learned from?
Constantly, every day, still happen.
Right.
I mean, you literally learn something every single day when you're working with either horses, machinery, or people. You learn something every single day as long as you allow yourself to admit to the fact, there is a better way.
Now, do you still love riding horses the way you did when you were a teenager, that time, and you realized it was something you loved doing?
You know what? I'll be honest with you. I actually haven't been on a horse in almost 3 years.
Oh.
I still have my own personal horse.
Right.
His name is Chip, lovingly known as Chipperdoodle. When we stopped doing trail rides, I still rode fairly regularly. But as you start getting more and more into farming, you find that the best time to ride is also the best time to farm. And then I broke my forearm. I got kicked by a horse, and my forearm broke 2 years ago. It'll be October. So that put me out of commission for a while. And yeah, you know, maybe if I was more disciplined, I could say that I could farm, and I'm gonna say, you know, this day I'm gonna go ride for a horse. Yeah, I'm okay.
Right.
I'm okay. You know what? I miss the. I used to enjoy riding with my best friend, and he still rides. But yeah, you know, I'm fine.
Like, if you were going to ride this afternoon, is it just the preparations of getting your horse ready, getting the saddle ready, and then afterwards, you know, brushing him down and watering him, or all of that? Is it the before and after?
No, it's the before is about 25-30 minutes of preparation, catching him and brushing him and grooming him and saddling him up.
Right.
It's the hour or 2 or 3 of going for a ride, and then half an hour of putting him back, of basically just letting him cool down, grading him, and putting him back. It's the fact that I will actually miss 4 hours of manure spreading that I need to do.
Okay.
Right? So it's not, I can't spread manure and ride my horse on the same time.
Okay.
And unfortunately, right now, because we're going into fall and then winter, I need to focus on my fields and spread the manure and get them out of the paddocks and put them on the fields. So, and you know, we've had dry weather, so which means it's perfect time to do it because you're not dealing with mud in the fields.
Right.
So, time and place, yeah.
Well, the more you say spread manure, the more I want to give that a punchline, and I won't. But it's like,
Well, yeah. I guess if I was in politics, it would be a perfect line.
it would be
I'm spreading manure.
perfect 4-hour pastime
That's right.
on the Sunday
I actually enjoy doing it. You know what? It's funny because I sing Green Acres to myself.
Yeah.
I feel like Eddie Albert.
Right.
Da-da-da-da-dum,
You're definitely living that life, and you've left the city slicker life. Tell me, in this time, all these years, now that you're living so many other people's dreams, what would you consider the biggest challenge that you faced as a rancher and farmer?
It had nothing to do with farming and ranching. It had to do with the amount of physical, emotional, and financial stress that myself and my family endured doing it.
Right.
You know, farming is farming. You farm. You know, people do it. And people, I don't know if it's the second oldest profession or the oldest profession, but it's definitely up there.
Right.
It's time. There is never enough time. There is never enough space to park machinery. There is never enough land. There is never enough rain. There is never enough sun. There is never enough snow. There's never enough dry weather. But I would say the biggest toll is what it does to your family, your relationships, to your financial resources, and your mental mindset,
Right.
mental well-being.
Now, having come through the other side of the challenging years of
Still in it.
having the ranch,
Still in it.
still in the
It doesn't
challenge,
end. Yeah.
always a new challenge, eh?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Would you say that you have a moment that you consider a highlight as a rancher and farmer over the years?
Whenever my kids bring their friends over and they'll go for a drive on the side by side or the ATV, and they'll come and hang out by the fire, and you know, I'll tell you a funny story. When my oldest son was about 12 years old, one of his good friends was actually just got drafted by Montreal Canadiens, NHL, Owen Beck. They were playing soccer, and they recruited my youngest son, Lev, to go play soccer with them. So the three of them were playing soccer. I was doing trail rides. Kendra comes out and she says, "Where are the boys?" I don't know. Well, they said they were playing soccer. So, okay. Well, where are they? I don't know. Well, we have to find them. Okay, so everybody got off the horse. We went to find the boys. Well, we found them. We found them in our North Hayfield playing soccer. And Kendra looked at me afterwards. She goes, "It's kind of funny. I guess they were just in the backyard." They were. It's just the backyard is 150 acres.
Right.
Right. So that's the funny part, where the worst thing that can happen to them in the backyard is they can fall into a gopher hole.
Right.
That's pretty much it.
Yeah, yeah.
But,
and I mean, nothing nice about falling into a gopher hole when you're not expecting it, but you're right there on your own land having fun.
Yeah. It's a long way to go to get lost.
Right.
Yeah. Right. So I think that's the most satisfying. You know, I think some of the more magical moments on the farm are, you know, those beautiful summer evenings when everything is calm and the work is done and you've had a shower and you've had something to eat and you're sitting on the deck with your wife, and the only thing you hear is the occasional snort of a horse, and some horse squeals because another horse came too close. And everything seems to be fine. It's almost like the stars align. And everything just works. You know, that makes it worthwhile.
For sure. I can imagine that. And do you think there would be anything that would bring you back to city living?
No.
That's a fast answer.
No, there's nothing. I don't want to live in the city anymore. I don't want to sit in traffic. I get upset when I have to drive into Port Hope and there's 4 cars at the red light in front of me. It's like, why are you in my town? So no, I don't want to live in the city. I don't mind going to the city once in a while and getting the hell out, but no, I never want to live in the big city again.
Beautiful. It's inspiring. And maybe one day some of us will catch up to you. Boris, it's been absolutely beautiful having a chance to talk to you about the real ins and outs of the change in your lifestyle over the many years and the challenges.
20 years in June. Yeah.
Wow. Congratulations to you and your whole family, to your wife and yourself.
She won't let me forget. That's her.
Yeah. Beautiful. That's Kendra.
That's Kendra. Yeah, that's Kendra.
Beautiful. It's nice to know this is something that you've been able to share and enjoy together with your family and inspire so many of us, starting with me. I want to thank you so much. Thank you for your time and your energy in joining us here at Cool Life Podcast. Have a wonderful day. Bye now.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
And that was our show. Thank you for listening to the very end. Please remember to subscribe through your streaming service to get more access to our guest interviews. Also, please subscribe on YouTube to help support our podcast. Until next time, I'm Eva John for Cool Life Podcast. Thank you for turning me on.